Happy Saturday. Welcome to a special Saturday edition, a college football preview edition of the Randy Karraker Show. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker here at STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Mizzou getting ready to take on Mississippi State. Mizzou favored by 7, but Matthew, this is kind of a trap game for the Tigers. I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, walkover, easy. Not when you have a freshman quarterback and not when you performed the way you did against Texas A&M.
Yeah, exactly. Not a walkover. I mean, now just because of all the injuries, potentially losing, to this game in Arkansas and Oklahoma, losing all of these games is live, unfortunately, just because of the quarterback factor. Is he the quarterback who came in, locked in, and spun the ball against Vanderbilt in the fourth quarter? Or is he the guy who, despite, the pocket presence was still immaculate.
Mm-hmm.
His actual pocket awareness at times wasn't great. His accuracy was poor. But also I have no confidence that the coaches are going to put him in the best place to succeed, because the short passing game evaporated as soon as they started playing conference games. And that's the case with Bro. And that was the case with Bro Buell as the quarterback as well. And so right now my issue is that Kevin Coleman isn't getting hit on little 6-yard curl routes. That's my big thing. And I know that Norfleet was hurt last week, but to Clabe's point, just hit Jude James for 6 yards and keep on rolling.
Well, I think what they have to do is, if they're planning on running 70 plays, 45 of them have to be running plays. 45 or 50 have to be running plays. The Mississippi State rush defense is not stellar, and I think that's one place where Mizzou can win the game. Old school, run the ball and play defense. I think if the Mizzou coaching staff takes that approach in this game, then I think they have a great chance to win it. Otherwise, if they're trying to get Zollers to start throwing the ball and trying to do things that they don't need to do, then there's a chance they could lose it.
They are a more talented overall football team than Mississippi State,
yes,
but obviously we saw Mississippi State take Texas to the death in overtime before they fell apart. So I'm going to say stay away from the 7 points either way in this game.
Smart.
If you're feeling really unconfident about Zollers last week, then go ahead and roll Mississippi State. You're getting 7 extra points anyhow, so why not? The big thing I'm looking at, Randy, is I do not see this game hitting an over of 51.5. That under's looking juicy with the way that this offense, unless they actually do what you say and run the ball 45 times, which all the evidence we have over the SEC schedule is they're not going to do that. I don't see Mizzou scoring more than 21. I don't see Mississippi State outscoring them by that much more than that. This 24-21 worst case scenario, you're still sitting in the money there. That under looks nice.
By the way, Mississippi State against the run of 134 Division I teams, they're 110th. They're allowing 176 yards per game, 176.2 to be precise. So Mizzou needs to run. If they're going to run for 200 on Texas A&M, then they need to run for 300 on Mississippi State.
And here's why I'm still confident, even with that number, of that under, Randy, because if the Tigers run the ball, and because they run the ball, they put up 30 points, time of possession and the Mizzou defense means that Mississippi State is not scoring 20 points.
You're talking 24-10? But even 31-10, you're still under.
Exactly, because there's no way with the amount of ball control you have in the scenario where you run the ball 40 times, and then what we know the Mizzou defense does to people, there's no way Mississippi State's scoring more than 17. So you're clear, even if they are running all over them. I love that under.
All right, let's talk about some important games, shall we?
Yes.
Notre Dame is at number 22 Pitt. Notre Dame needs to keep winning. They basically need to win out if they're going to make it to the CFP. 22nd ranked Pitt still alive in the ACC, and their coach had some interesting comments this week, didn't he?
I love Narduzzi. He's playing head games. He says the game doesn't matter because all that matters now is that they're playing in the ACC championship game. So the only thing that matters is their ACC record. And so the Notre Dame game, which should, by all logic of what conference they play in basketball, or the fact that they just should be playing in a conference period in football, this should be an ACC game. Could be a Big Ten game as well if they were in a conference as well, if they were in that conference. But still, they should be in a conference. They're not, I think. But the fact that he's playing head games tells me that Notre Dame's locked in. They're caring a lot about this game. They want to ruin a little bit of CFP-ness for Notre Dame. And I wonder if, is there a scenario where a second ACC team can get in? Probably not.
I wouldn't think so.
Probably not. So, but still, beating Notre Dame helps them more than it hurts them. Go win the game. Bump yourself up. That way, guarantee potentially that the ACC is a top 4 champion rank. That's another thing. Is like if Georgia Tech would fall off somehow and Pitt would lose this game, we're potentially looking at a chance. It's a very small chance because Duke's there as well. It's a very small chance that the ACC's champion doesn't get in the playoff because it's not a top 4 ranked champion.
And oh, by the way, for Pitt, Pat Narduzzi, he mentioned, he said, I don't care if we lose this game by 100 points. He said it doesn't make any difference because it's Georgia Tech and Miami that make a difference. So you've got number 9, you've got number 16, and you've got number 15 to close things out. If you're the Pitt Panthers, it's going to be very difficult for them to navigate that and make their way to anything better than a good bowl game. They have losses to West Virginia and Louisville, so they have a loss in the ACC, and a third loss will render them useless in terms of the CFP committee.
Yeah, and it was big for them last week. Obviously, Louisville losing to Cal, it hurt their ranking. Obviously, not a conference game.
Alabama is going to host the 11th ranked team in the country, Oklahoma. This is an interesting one. Number 1, Mateer appears to be back and healthy for Oklahoma, and Alabama has played so well, and they're a legitimate number 4. If everything else was equal, if Alabama and Ohio State and Indiana and Texas A&M all had one loss, or if Alabama hadn't lost that game, I think Alabama is the best team. I think out of the top 4, Alabama could legitimately be considered number 1 in the country. That being said, their hands are full with Oklahoma.
My God, I hate conference realignment. Sorry, Cal is in the ACC. That was a conference game. My apologies. I saw that game. I was like, okay, conference loss for Louisville. And then in my head, when I said Louisville, Cal, I was like, that can't be a conference game. Yes, it is. I forgot. Cal did jump to the ACC. God, I hate conference realignment. I think Bama's the best. I agree with you. Everything I saw, I know the Mizzou game was obviously a lot closer against Bama. I still came away more impressed overall with Bama's team than I did at Texas A&M.
I'm with you.
That's just, I think there's some SEC honks who have really hit or started hitting that Texas A&M is a super talented team. I can't remember who it was. I was watching on ESPN the other day who they were like, Texas A&M could be number 1 ranked. And I disagree with that. The logic behind that, in my opinion. But Bama's dangerous. I want to see this be a close game. I want to see Oklahoma win only because college football chaos is always fun. And now with Mizzou out of it, that's all I'm rooting for. Because Oklahoma beats Alabama, and it gives Oklahoma a really quality win that makes it. And they're probably then they skip over Mizzou probably, and they finish. I think at that point would finish 10-2. And with a win over Alabama, there's just we're playing with a scenario of how do you get 5 SEC teams into the college football playoff.
That's a good point.
And Oklahoma beating Bama is a really fun one.
Yeah,
because it kind of pushes everyone in the middle.
If Alabama wins this game, they still, because you never know what's going to happen with Auburn at the end of the season. They play Eastern Illinois at home. They're going to win that game. But you never know with Auburn, with the Auburn-Alabama rivalry. We think, and I would guess that Alabama will be a significant double-digit favorite when they play at Auburn. But the game at Auburn, we've seen weird things happen with Alabama and Auburn before. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if with the interim coach and with a team that's had a reasonably talented team that's had a rough go, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Auburn would give Alabama a run for their money and that game would be close in the final minutes.
I feel like there's always been like a weird X factor when it comes to those games, and it's usually the quarterback. Like I feel like when Auburn's been bad and they've given up Bama scares, it was those years when Bama didn't have the quarterback. And I just can't buy that Ty Simpson's going to get rattled by that Auburn team. And he's unflappable. And I mean, just the throws he was making against Mizzou, because I'd watched some Bama, but obviously, I'm watching every throw with in depth in that Mizzou game. I mean, that amount of touch in the intermediate game is just ridiculous. And so I have a hard time seeing it just because of the quarterback play with Alabama. It just seems like if you have that with the rest of that team, those kind of games aren't going to be the ones that bite you, because we know they've done it. Again, Georgia and Mizzou are the only ones in the last 3 years who haven't lost to a kind of a conference bottom feeder at one point or another. So we know Bama slipped up before. I just don't know if this is the Bama team I see slipping up, because the quarterback is just mistake free. And if Bama doesn't make mistakes, can you beat them?
And Jackson Arnold is obviously not what Auburn expected he was going to be.
He makes some mistakes.
But just go back, for example, to the kick six game.
Yep.
Who was Alabama's quarterback that year? Let me see if
that would have been Greg McElroy.
McCarron was a really good college quarterback.
Very good college quarterback. It's a good point.
Yeah. So, but that I think that it's going to wind up close. I mean, it
wasn't a
fourth and 31. A couple of years ago, Alabama had to win on 4th and 31. So it just weird things happen with that. Alabama. Well, let's go back to this week. A 5.5 point favorite over Oklahoma. I do think at home Alabama handles their business.
That's my thing. Is I want Oklahoma to win, but I see 5.5 or 6 points, and it might fluctuate between recording and this. But yeah, if I had to put one there, Randy, I'm going Alabama with giving up 6 points.
And then the game of the day, in my opinion, is Texas at Georgia, and Texas deservedly is questioned. And I love the fact that we overreact to football after week 1 or week 2. And we thought that Texas sucked, and we thought that there was no way Arch Manning would ever turn into a good quarterback. All of a sudden, Texas is 7-2. They've won 4 in a row. They had that bad loss to Florida, but they go to Georgia, and this is a game that I really think Texas has a chance to win. They've been playing really well offensively for the most part. Their defense had a rough go at Mississippi State, had a rough go against Vanderbilt, but Georgia, I think, is a vulnerable team. I think that this is if you were going to pick an upset, and I don't know if I go to DraftKings Sportsbook and pick this upset, but if you were going to pick one, I think you'd probably take Texas to cover that 6.5 and maybe win outright.
Give me the over on the 49.5 on that game. That's the one thing I'm going to roll on. This is just going to be an interesting game because of kind of a prove it moment for the quarterbacks, Gunner Stockton, Arch Manning. You know, they're going to go up against arguably the best defenses they faced this year. I mean, Arch Manning faced Ohio State, but we saw what happened when he faced Ohio State. Since then, can a improving Arch Manning go up against another top 5 team and look like the real quarterback he's looked like the last couple of weeks? Because that's the big question. He's looked more legitimate, but you know, some of the teams have been good, some of the teams have been bad. And then you have Georgia, and I'm a big Gunner Stockton fan for some reason. I really like watching him.
Me too.
And this could be a huge game for him. I took him as my long shot Heisman candidate because I thought there was a chance that he has like a 3 rushing touchdown, 2 passing touchdown game somehow against like a team like Texas, and it puts him on the board. I think that's Fernando Mendoza's to lose at this point, but nonetheless, I think this is going to be a big high scoring game. I think these quarterbacks both have good games and kind of change up the narratives again.
And I think that Georgia,
they both get hammered.
Georgia can lose this game and still make the college football playoff.
Yes.
Texas can't lose this game and still make the college football playoff. If desperation comes from if motivation comes from desperation, then you have to give that check mark in this game to the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, that's fair. Let me go back to
Georgia wraps up after this game with Charlotte and Georgia Tech. Should be wins either way.
The Georgia Tech games, God, I cannot wait for that's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
So Texas has, so if they could still beat A&M,
right,
and get
but
in.
they would, but no, because they'd have 3 losses though.
They would be. They'd finish. If
they would lose 9 to Georgia, they'd have 3 losses.
9-3 with wins over OU, Vandy, and A&M, and losses to Florida, Ohio State, and Georgia. So it's one bad. It is a bad loss.
Yep.
And two not bad losses. It's Georgia and Ohio State, for Christ's sake. But it's only a win over OU, who at that point is probably out of the playoff after they lose to Bama. Even though when they shellac Mizzou probably, but the win for A&M, like the only way Texas gets in that scenario is the one we were talking about earlier, where the ACC blows up.
Yep.
And
maybe Notre Dame
and Notre Dame loses, and maybe we're talking about 6 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten teams, and then the other 2 conference champions.
But here's an example: like if BYU would beat Utah in the Big 12 championship game. Both of those teams wind up with 2 losses. Do you take a 3-loss Texas over 2-loss Utah and BYU? Would you take this is
with a win over Texas A&M?
Yeah. Well,
I think the committee might.
How about this one? Would you take a 3-loss Texas over a 2-loss Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt has Kentucky and at Tennessee to go. And they would be 10-2.
And their losses are to Bama and
Texas. But Texas would have 3 losses. Can you take, even though Texas beat Vandy, can you take a 3-loss Texas over a 2-loss Vandy?
Vandy has which games left?
They've got a win against, hold on, let me get back
No,
to
I'm
it.
saying what's the rest of their schedule?
Yeah, Kentucky at home, and then at 23rd ranked Tennessee.
Okay, so I think the question is less resume, and kind of, I think we get back to the committee right now, which is how far does Texas fall after losing to Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
How far do they jump after beating A&M? And then considering where Vandy is right now in the ranking, can Vandy move up enough spots to simply be higher ranked than Texas?
Well, Texas is 10th, Vandy is 14th.
Yeah.
So Texas with a loss to Georgia
drops to 12.
But it would be after the last game, after Vandy would win at Tennessee.
Okay.
But again, if Vandy has 2 losses and Texas has 3, how do you keep Vandy behind Texas?
You're the college football playoff, and one of them's Texas. That's how you do
that. Okay, good.
I mean,
yep.
Not to be cynical or accusatory.
Now, the other one, there are multiple other teams that could finish with 2 losses. But what if USC beats Oregon and UCLA and finishes 10-2? Because UCLA's losses would be at Illinois and at Notre Dame. They would have wins.
USC. You're adding USC into this now.
Yeah,
Crap.
Because they've got 2 losses.
Crap.
Yeah. They've got a win against Michigan. They've got and they would have a win against Iowa
this weekend.
Yep. And they would have a win at Oregon.
Well, Oregon, as we're talking right now, Oregon could have lost on Friday night, but I doubt that happened.
Yeah.
Damn it. I didn't even think about it. I was wondering, I thought I had one more week prior to start putting USC into the equation. I was waiting until they beat Iowa.
Okay. Well, that's
to add them back into this all.
By the way, Iowa is an unusually great offense these days. Have you seen it's the best offense Iowa's ever had, basically. Well, not ever, but let's call it the Kirk Ferentz era. Yeah, the best they've ever had.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Didn't they force him to fire his son?
Yeah, that happens. And this strength coach.
Sometimes nepotism doesn't work.
Yeah, there you go. Should be a fun weekend. And these are all great to watch.
And listen, there's some other like little things we haven't even broken into, because next week it's going to be another college football playoff dive, and we're going to look at the rankings. We're going to look at all these scenarios, because I don't think it happens, and I'm not comfortable suggesting a wager on it or anything. But like, what if BYU spirals? Like that's fascinating. Like if BYU spirals out and all of a sudden Utah gets another win, Texas Tech keeps on rolling. That'd be fascinating to me if they just kind of spiral out of the equation. If something happens to the Big 12, what if Texas Tech blows it this afternoon and BYU spirals? Like Texas Tech is a little drunk on their own stuff because of their big win, shellacking BYU. BYU's down on themselves because they just let it happen. What if they both fall apart and the Big 12 completely collapses? So many things can still happen. These last 3 or 4 weeks are going to see a lot of changes. So we'll take another look at scenarios if things get blown up this weekend later today, and I hope they do.
Yeah. By the way, and this is not good news, but speaking of BYU, their basketball team, Kennard Davis from St. Louis, arrested and charged with DUI, which is probably not the best thing to do when you are playing for Brigham Young University.
Nope, they're going to look down on that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That's illegal and against the code of conduct.
Yeah, it is.
And against the contract I'm sure you signed.
Yep. Hey, once we get to the college football playoff, you'll be able to utilize DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. On December 1st, they're going to be going here in Missouri. It's coming to you, and if you're a new Missouri customer, you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, and when they go live, just place a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. That's starting November 17th, and you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook, bringing everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action. All of the bowl games, all of the CFP games are going to be available for you to wager on with DraftKings Sportsbook. And When we go live in Missouri, you're going to be betting with a sportsbook app trusted by millions, safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. That's in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Enjoy your college football Saturday. Have a great weekend, and we will see you Monday on the Randy Karraker Show at 3 Central here on STL Sports Central.